What's up? It's Friday, and that's why I'm here with another Q&A session where I'm answering all your questions about training, conditioning, strength, power, nutrition, whatever gets thrown at me in my inbox, okay? So I've got 4 questions today. Let's get started. First question, this is from my man, Davila from San Antonio. He's asked me, what are some good ways to stretch your lower back? Now, Jesse, this is a question that I feel that you should be able to answer. Stretching the low back. This is something that should be done very, very rarely. In fact, most people never need to stretch their low back at all. Now, the reason why that low back gets tight is most often because of instability. So, clipboard down, the vertebrae, they sit on top of each other. One on top of each other goes up your spine. There's a lot of little muscles working to hold those vertebrae in place, ligaments, a lot of different tissues. When those muscles don't work properly or there's just some kind of instability there, that's very bad. Your brain thinks, oh shit, something's wrong here because the spinal cord goes through your spine, and that's very important to protect. So what happens is the nervous system tightens up all those muscles and says, okay, something's going on. I'm going to tighten everything up until we figure it out so that you don't get paralyzed, essentially. Okay? That's why the muscles get tight. So the muscles get tight as a symptom of instability. This is very important. You could write this down. The muscles get tight as a symptom of instability, not the cause. And it's not the root cause to deal with. The root cause to deal with is the instability. And that's why routines like the damage control routine, which I'm going to link for you right on this video or in the description, is so beneficial. You do this routine, 90% of people who have low back pain, that you're feeling that low back pain right now, you do this routine, you're gonna feel better, at least a couple points better. So if your pain is at a 7 out of 10, you're gonna get down to a 5 or a 4 after doing this routine. So to answer the question, what are some good low back stretches? There are none. What you wanna do is work the flexibility of the hips. The low back for any kind of lifting or strength moves should be in neutral position. The hips should be the ones that are flexible and mobile and moving, okay? So if you need to work on your hip flexibility solution, hit that up. It's worked for thousands of people already, and there's no reason why it's not gonna work for you. All right, so that's the question about low back stretching. I've got my clipboard here. Let's move on to number 2. This is from my man, Alex Poppeck in Dachau, Germany. Hope I said that right. And he's asking me, if you have only time to do one strength training session a week, besides all the MMA skill and conditioning work, which exercises would you include when the focus is building general strength? Okay, so the first part of this answer is that building strength by training once a week is probably not gonna happen for anybody who's beyond a beginner level. Beginners can do anything. Beginners can like walk around, do a few push-ups, and you're gonna build strength. But once you've trained consistently for a year and you've got a decent level of strength, then you're gonna have to train at least twice a week. And for MMA, I recommend training twice a week so that you've got energy and your muscles aren't sore for the rest of your training sessions, especially skill training sessions. You don't wanna have tight muscles and try and learn new skills or combos because it's gonna be screwed up. Okay, the timing is gonna be all off. All right, so that's the first part of the answer to that question of building strength, training one session a week. Now, if you could only lift weights and build strength once a week, then what would I do? I would focus on the big moves. You only have one session a week. You got to focus on the big exercises. So here's a sample routine that I'm going to throw together for you. First exercise, the power clean or the clean. So if you could do it from the floor, the proper clean, then do it. Do that for 3 sets times 3 reps. Rest lots in between sets, okay? Next exercise I would throw at you would be the bench press, okay? Nothing better for upper body push strength than the bench press. So do that for 3 sets, anywhere from 3 to 5 reps in that range right there. Next exercise I would do would be the reverse barbell lunge. So you're stepping back, barbells on your shoulders, 3 sets times 5 to 6 reps per side. Next exercise I would go to a pull movement pattern, do the 1-arm row, okay? Now, the reason why I choose the 1-arm row for the pull movement pattern is because you can load it up using the dumbbells, whereas you're doing a chin-up. Weighted chin-ups can get a little bit messy and strain the shoulders. And number 2, it's a unilateral exercise that also trains the twist movement pattern. So when you're stabilizing your hands on the bench and supporting yourself, and you're doing the row, you're working that twist movement pattern at the same time. So you're getting a little more bang for your buck, and you can hit that twist movement pattern so that this routine hits all the major movement patterns. The clean hits the squat and the deadlift kind of combined. Bench press is obviously the push pattern, reverse lunge is the lunge movement pattern, and the one arm row is both the pull and the twist movement pattern. So the one arm row, I would do 3 sets, anywhere from 6 to 10 reps per side, okay? So that is a simple little strength routine you can use that's gonna hit everything and help you to maintain strength. You might be able to build a little bit of strength doing it if you're really on point, your recovery is great. But at the very least, it's gonna help you maintain strength in all the major movement patterns, and then your conditioning work and your MMA training work isn't gonna suffer because of that, okay? So hopefully that helps out, Alex. Now, the next question I've got from Sergio Pichardo from Calgary, Canada, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And he's asking me, hey Eric, with the slew of fitness trackers out there, Push, omsignal, Fitbit, etc., have you tried any with yourself or clients, and would you recommend any? Okay, so this is very interesting because I just actually ordered the Push for myself. I haven't used it yet, but I'm really interested to see how knowing my velocity of each rep in the set is going to affect and impact my performance. So basically knowing when to stop a set and knowing how many reps to do per set to maximize velocity. So I can see the benefit for training power for sure and possibly strength, but that's about it. It's very limited, but still I'm interested to see how it is. Okay, so I'll let you guys know how that goes as I experiment with it. Now the other ones, I had to look into them. So the omsignal is basically a shirt that you wear, and what it purports to measure is heart rate and also breathing depth and frequency. And for this, I don't really see the use of this. I mean, we've already got heart rate monitors that can tell you your heart rate and calculate all that stuff, give you intensity zones and whatnot. But breathing, I think, is the frequency and depth, I think is not very useful. For cardiovascular exercise, you want to try and breathe as deeply as possible. So maybe you could see how the effects of your focus on deep breathing is improving throughout training sessions. But for the most part, I don't think it's very useful, and I would not get that for myself, nor recommend it to my clients. Now the other one, the Fitbit, that one's basically heart rate and then GPS, and we already have that. It's no big deal. So you can track heart rate, that's great. All the other stuff like calories burned, that's completely useless. Distance, if you're just walking around the city and you're tracking your distance, like what's the point? The key is to have a program, to know how to progress the program, and then to track your results there. So how many reps you did, how much weight you lifted, and that's all you need. And that's why I developed that inside Power Dojo. I've got a tracker that, it's not a tracker for an app, but you can use it on your phone if you want. But you just track what exercise you did, how many sets, what weight you lifted, and you can see the graphs over time. And that is very useful in combination with a program, because without the program, it's useless. You got to have a set program where you're doing something and you're expecting to go from one place to another, from point A to point B, okay? And the trackers help you to see your pathway, your journey from point A to point B. So that's my answer to that question about trackers and wearables and all this tech that's coming out right now, okay? Now, let's hit the last question here. This is from Joe Wurzee from Ketchikan in the States. And he is asking me, have you trained anyone with a heart condition? I love martial arts. I'm a blue belt in karate and was just told I will not advance to purple or brown or even get a shodan. Is there any option, or is my martial arts training done? Thanks for your time. So I have actually trained a client who had a heart condition. He wasn't a martial artist, but he's a regular guy. He's a lawyer, and he actually had a heart attack a few years before I'd started training with him. Now the key is that for a trainer, that could be a scary proposition because this person's got a history of heart problems. You don't want to do anything to mess them up. But it's all about progression. You got to start slow, and the key is not to jump into high intensity until you've slowly progressed your way up. So you never jump into high intensity. You always start low intensity, then low medium, then medium, and over a lot of time, I'm talking months and probably a year before we started doing anything like a high intensity interval run, you've got to really build it up and slow it and go real slow. Another key is to focus on your breathing, because when you're holding your breath, you're really tight, okay? That's gonna put a lot of pressure on the heart to work, to pump that blood through a tight vascular system, essentially, Okay, so that's with respect to cardiovascular exercises and weight training. Now, with respect to weight training, of course, same thing applies. You don't want to go too heavy. You want to build strength, you want to lift weights, but you want to make sure that you're not going too heavy so that you're creating a ton of pressure at the very start. You can build up to that, but never work like very quickly. You should never do a 1 rep max for, I don't know, a couple of years, a year or two before you do a 1 rep max. Now, with respect to karate training, definitely you can karate train. I mean, it's all up to you to listen to your body and to feel how you're breathing, what the intensity level is like. But because you're not lifting any weights, you can regulate your breathing and you will know if you're working really hard or not by how much you're breathing and how heavy you're breathing. So I would get on a good conditioning program to work your cardio, like running or biking or something like that, as well as some strength training, but progress yourself slowly and you'll be fine. Okay, you might want to get with an expert who can monitor you and make sure you're not pushing too hard. A lot of martial artists, they like to push hard and that's all they know. But you're gonna have to ramp it up really slowly, okay? Just like that, all right? So hopefully that helps, Joe. And now, that's the end of today's Q&A session. So if you have a question for me, make sure you hit up the website, ericwallingma.com/ask, and you can submit your question there. And maybe I'll feature you in one of my future segments. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you guys. I will see you next time. Peace.